Have you ever considered that the products that you're using daily, items that you assume are safe, might actually be working against your faith and spiritual health? If your daily routine unknowingly aligns with practices that could disrupt your walk with God, would you be willing to make a change? Today, we're diving into a topic that many of us have probably never even thought twice about: the products we buy, especially personal care items, and whether they could conflict with our faith. Recent trends show a growing awareness of the spiritual impact of lifestyle choices, everything from the music we listen to the brands that we are supporting. But what about the items that we use on our bodies daily? With certain influencers and even some companies openly aligning with practices that could impact our spiritual well being, it's more important than ever before to examine what we're using and the forces behind them. So, today I'm going to talk about two brands that many of us use without a second thought: the Honeypot Company and Dr. Bronner's. So, these brands are mainstream, but the stories behind them might surprise you. We're going to take the Honeypot Company first. So, the founder of Honeypot says that the idea for the company was given to her by an ancestor in a dream. I actually talked about this recently with my daughter Hannah. We discussed why, according to the Bible, we cannot speak to the dead and how those spirits could likely be demonic. Take a listen.
What does the Bible say about celebrating your loved ones that are dead? Do you know?
No.
Let's find out. Let's find out what the Bible says about celebrating those who are dead. The Bible says that those who are dead are in a what? Sleep-like state where they are
unaware
and have no contact with the living. The Bible also says that when someone dies, their spirit does what?
Returns to God.
Their spirit returns to God and their soul
no
longer exists. The Bible says that the dead will rise again when?
Jesus returns to earth.
The Bible also says that believers will be resurrected in eternal
perfection
and join
their souls in heaven.
The Bible says that when people die, they return to the dust from which they were formed. Ecclesiastes 9:5 says what? The dead what?
The dead do not see or hear or think.
The Bible says what?
The dead do not see or hear or think.
What does the Bible say?
The dead do not see or hear or think.
Do we believe the Bible?
Yes.
Do we believe the Bible?
Yes.
Do we believe the Bible?
Yes.
So, when people are talking to their loved ones who have died, who are they talking to?
They're just talking to a pile of dust.
Or they could be talking to something, and what could that something be?
They could be talking to Satan.
Yes. Yes.
To people who are...
Yes. To the enemy.
Yeah.
To demons. To entities. Let's continue, though. Let's continue. But good stuff.
So, if she received this from an ancestor, could she have actually been communicating with the demon? If that is the case, should we be cautious about the potential spiritual influence that these products could have on us? Now let's take a look at Dr. Bronner's, another very popular brand. So this company's philosophy is rooted in a belief in multiple deities and a form of universalism. So while they produce eco-friendly products, their mission and spiritual beliefs are clear and openly expressed on their packages. So as Christians, we need to ask this question: does using products connected to these beliefs subtly align us with them? The spiritual power behind everyday products. Think about the principle in Proverbs 4:23, which tells us to guard our hearts. Could this extend to guarding our homes and our bodies? Many people don't realize that throughout history, certain cultures believed that objects like jewelry, oils, and body products could carry spiritual power, intended for blessing or for cursing. Some modern brands are reviving these old beliefs in new ways, infusing their products with intentions that could subtly shift our own spiritual states. And research is emerging that shows how the power of belief can influence consumer behavior without us even realizing it. Self-care industry's hidden beliefs. Here's a reality check. The global wellness industry is now worth over $4.5 trillion. In the pursuit of self-care, some brands are marketing with messages inspired by new age practices, energy healing, and even mysticism. The skincare you're using might come with more than you bargained for. As Christians, we're told to be wary of things that contradict our beliefs, but most people don't think of checking their skincare labels or the brand's mission statements. And the shift toward wellness spirituality is only growing. Subtle influences on health and mind. Here's something really interesting. Studies show that people are more influenced by brand messaging when they believe it aligns with their values. This means if a brand suggests that a product can offer a spiritual or healing benefit, our minds and bodies may respond accordingly, even if it's unintended. Imagine using a product designed with intentions we didn't even consent to, yet our minds are unknowingly opening to these influences. For a Christian, this could have far-reaching implications. The rise of Christian-owned alternative brands. So I believe we're going to see a shift in the marketplace. Christians who are led to lead or create brands that align with biblical values. People are hungry for products they can trust, and as more of us realize what we're buying into with conventional brands, we're going to want Christian alternatives. This shift could lead to a new era where faith-driven brands emerge not just as alternatives, but as leaders in quality and integrity. We need more Christian creators to step up into these spaces, especially in the personal care and wellness industries. In this season, I truly believe God is calling many of us to create products and brands that honor Him and Him alone. For instance, there's a great brand called Strands of Faith right here in my hometown of Mississippi, where I'm from, and that I plan to support. Brands like these deserve our business because they align with our values and support God's will on earth. I remember back in 2009 when I went natural, there were hardly any products available for natural hair, so I started creating my own. I would mix ingredients in my kitchen to make products that worked for me and my hair, and my husband, who was my boyfriend then, even encouraged me to start my own product line. Looking back, maybe that was God planting a seed, and perhaps now is my time to finally follow that calling. Imagine if we each supported Christian brands and even created some of our own. If that is you, go ahead, pray, and get started. Encouragement to pray and research. I encourage you to take the time to pray and research about the brands that you support. Ask God for guidance on these decisions. Proverbs 4:23 tells us to guard our hearts, and that could extend to guarding our bodies and our lives from spiritual influences we may not immediately recognize. This is all about stewardship. Our money is God's money. The Bible tells us to be good stewards of what God entrusts us with. Supporting companies that align with practices outside our faith can mean contributing to causes that oppose God's will. And when we choose to invest in brands that honor God, we honor that stewardship. Possible curses and spells. If someone openly believes in spiritual practices or even spells, what's stopping them from using these beliefs in their work? Just as I would pray over a business I started, these other people could be invoking spiritual influences into their products, casting spells and things like that. As crazy as it may sound, this matters. Studies show that the more we're exposed to something, the more it affects us, whether we realize it or not. If you are ready to start a journey of spiritual awareness with me, I want you to download my Spiritual Warfare Prayer Guide. This guide can help you to guard against influences that are not of God. It's free, y'all, so go ahead and download it. And stay tuned. My next video will be diving into how music influences us, including some hidden ways that artists use spiritual practices to impact their audience. Yes, that's you and me. Don't miss out on this series. It's time that we as Christians become more intentional about every area of our lives, from what we put into our ears to what we put on and inside our bodies. Let's make a stand together and ensure that every choice we make honors God.